I just don't know how to say the words. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining. I'm changing, right? And people are waiting to see a change in me. And so I started to overthink about it, and I'm working on me overthinking. When I talk too much, when I overthink, when I'm angry, and when I just start cussing people out, and it's not okay. It's everything in me that I need to work on. Intrusive thoughts. And I had an appointment earlier, and I could just tell, like, my body language, the way I was standing, the way I was talking. I was like, I hope I don't come off like I have an attitude. I love being around people. I'm not really an introverted person. I love time by myself. Don't get me wrong. If I could choose in between going out and having a comfy night with just me, I would definitely go with the night with just me. But then there's other days where I would love to go out, be around friends, all that great stuff. Make me lovable, because right now I haven't been showing people that they can love me. I had too many walls up. I had too many toxic behaviors. I had too many abusive behaviors with being emotionally abusive, that I would just try to put it in denial river and not face it, right? Because I can get mad at you, don't get mad at me. That is not okay. Or if you're trying to give me some advice or tell me something that you want me to hear from your feelings, I would get defensive. That is not okay. So I'm learning all those things, right? But I realized, I think it's because I'm always put in predicaments where it's like I have no time for myself. Like when I'm at home, I do, but on the days it matters most, like when people see me, I be needing, I would love to just put this in the most plainest words, but it is not always easy. I hope somebody can relate to what I'm saying. So if you're like me and you depend on others a lot, like you don't have a car, you have to be around people just to get, someplace. And riding in the car with others, you have to deal with what they're dealing with to a certain extent. If they're having a bad day and their attitude is kind of off, you might have to deal with that for as long as you're in their car. If you're not feeling like talking today, because they gave you a ride, they feel like you got to talk to them. And I was like, is it me being selfish? Like, I want to see this from all perspectives, because for me, if I'm giving someone a ride, just like Uber or Lyft, if I see that they don't want to speak, I like, not speak as in hello. Like, I will speak to you. Hey, how you doing? Great stuff. But if I don't want to go into a deep conversation, I don't feel like you're obligated to talk to me just because I gave you a ride. And they're older people, so they come from back in the day. But back in my day, child, I'm like, well, this is my day. I'm just playing when I say that. But I'm like, open my eyes, because maybe I am just not seeing this how I should. But I don't always want to talk. Sometimes I just want to listen to my music, position my head for where I'm going. Because if I'm going to a doctor's appointment, if I'm going to the emergency room, if I'm going to the grocery store, doggone it. If I'm, I don't say doggone it in a disrespectful way. I'm just getting my point across. Wherever I'm going, you never know what is up here for me. And I have to quiet my mind, because I might have just walked out of the house from the baby being really cranky, or my mom might have said something. She's my mom. She's a beautiful mother. She's a great mother. But, mother and daughter moments happen. And it's like, why is no one? I haven't met anyone who's like, you know what? I understand that. And like, even someone that I was really close with told me that I was at fault because I didn't want to talk to people who are giving me a ride. And then when I broke it down to that person, they were like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. So it always comes off disrespectful at first. I am so thankful and so grateful that I have family members and loved ones who will give me a ride to where I need to be. Because without your grace and mercy, I'd be stuck, or I'd be having to walk everywhere. And then my body has not been able to do the long walks and stuff like that. So I'm pushing myself. I even tried pushing myself at a job, and I just wasn't able to push through physically. So I have to get all that seen about. I hate feeling like I'm getting on his nerves. Like, you ever feel like casting your cares bothers him? I just be feeling like I'm complaining. When people see me and they see how my face is, I have a resting face, and I'm trying to unlearn it. How much of me do I have to change for people to see the change that you've done in me? What I'm saying is, I gotta position myself to look a certain way, and it's not that easy every day, especially with the chaos that has been going on, regardless if it is self-inflicted or if it's something that I didn't do to myself. It is not always easy to put a smile on. And so I'm like, if I'm not looking happy all the time, if I never mention I have a problem again, I don't want to look weak. I don't want to look like I'm struggling with something, because when people say we want to see a change in you, all I hear is we want to see you do good and never struggle again. That is what I be hearing. I don't want to become this boxed in human being who you can't put around people, who you can't send people to, because I haven't allowed you to teach me how to love others. I haven't allowed you to teach me how to be open. I haven't allowed you to teach me how to be open-minded and to not just be stuck on me and how I feel about things. But yet, it goes hand in hand with, sometimes I don't feel like my feelings are recognized. Sometimes I'm so used to people just doing this to my feelings that even the people who care, I'm expecting for them to not care already. They can tell me 1,000 times they care, that they hear me. I'm like, no, you don't. And it's abusive. It's not okay to do that. And I'm seeing that now, but it's just like, I've heard people say, yeah, I get you, and then question what I say in the next sentence just because they wanted to sound like they agreed with me, or they didn't want to, make a disagreement happen. Is this a test? Like, are you testing me because there was like a disagreement, or like it's just a disagreement happening? I didn't know I had to bring my daughter to the appointment today, and this person thought that I did. I knew I didn't, and they were not understanding what I was saying. So in my head, I'm going, okay. So I was just like in my head, like, okay, girl, if you know that you didn't know, it's okay if you're not right in their heads. Like, not always getting my point across. I'm learning that. Even if I know what I'm saying is true, and you are still calling me a liar, or you are just not seeing where I'm coming from, I will agree to disagree to keep the peace. I am walking in being a peacemaker. I am learning it. So I was like, you know what? Is it worth me going backwards and forth? No. If I know what I'm saying is true, even if they don't believe me, what is that going to stop? How is that going to affect your life in the next 5 years? Like, if it's not that big of a deal, JL, let it go and just let it ride. So I did pretty good in that. I'm giving myself thumbs ups and hugs and prizes whenever I even do small things, because for me it's a big deal. Yeah, girl, I just was like, help me, because it be getting tough in these streets. But I'm learning. I really am. And even after just like having a moment to myself in the store, I feel like I got rejuvenated. I brushed off whatever was can you speak? Bothering me. It's just moments alone. I can register what I'm saying. I can register my thoughts. And in this season of my life, I feel like how I look to others matters more than it has ever mattered before. I have messed up so many times publicly. I have people who have seen the worst in me, like the worst. And so I'm like, I don't ever want to look bad on the inside again. I don't ever want to look bad on the outside again. I don't want to look like I'm having a bad day, because I feel like people are just going to keep me in that box of, well, she's always down, or I'm not speaking this over myself. This is how I know some people think of me. She's always down, or what's bothering her today, or she said she walked to church, she wasn't even praising God. I have my own way of praise, and I feel like sometimes in church there can be peer pressure, even in church, about how your praise looks. And so I'm learning it. Like I said, it is not 100% easy peasy pumpkin squeezy, but I hope somebody can relate to that. Like, girl, I feel so different. Like, I've always been told I'm different, but I've had times in my life where people told me I wasn't normal, and I'm okay with not being normal, but I just hope that there's someone, like at least one person, who can be like, you know what, I felt that before, or I get where you're coming from, just to feel seen, heard. But even if I don't get that validation, I'm good, because I understand me. And I'll see y'all in my next little diary entry.